to another episode of What the Truck. I am joined here by the Sensei, the Freight Sensei, the one and only. I know him as T-Dub. Y'all know him as Thomas Wasson. Thomas, what's up, baby?
Man, happy to be on the show. You know, got to represent my team's colors a little bit after that stomping with Georgia. It was a close game. It's going to feel good to maybe win again next week. So, you know, represent. If I ever get hit in a parking lot, at least it's on purpose.
At least it's on purpose, but I'm not going to make that happen because I would jump in front of that car to protect it. You are the franchise, of course. You guys know him from Loaded and Rolling, where he breaks down all the latest industry trends and everything happening in our community, but we just know him, well, really, I just know him as the Sensei, man. This guy, he has brought me in slowly but surely, and I'm just thankful that you're on the show today, brother.
Man, I'm excited. I'm excited to have you on be on the show with you again. It's a lot more fun being a guest. I'm super hyped with the direction. Nicer color, nicer setup. I mean, it's a really cool stuff, and we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So, yeah. I mean, big congratulations on your first few weeks as well, and just happy to be here.
Thank you so much, brother. Of course, it is today, Friday, September 19th, and I cannot let this day go by. I'm going a little off script, but it's, of course, on script. I have to say a special shout out to my mom, y'all. Happy birthday to my mom. This is a beautiful picture of my lovely lady. Would not be here today without you, Mom. I love you so much. Appreciate. Oh, look at the confetti, man, y'all.
There we
go. That is awesome. Mama Malcolm, Mama Miggy, thank you for everything you've done for me. If you know, you know, that is my girl, and we are super excited to celebrate another year of my mom. So love you so much. With that being said, though, today's show, we're going to talk all the things. We have a lot of headlines to get to. We also have, just a one-on-one with the Sensei himself to talk about Trucker Appreciation Week and to dive in some concepts and some things that he's done in his career. But we would not be here without our special sponsors at Verizon.
Big.
Small.
Essential.
Big. Small. Essential.
Big. Small.
Essential.
Grande.
Pequeño.
Esencial. No matter what business you're in, Verizon Business has the network and solutions you need to power it.
From the facility to the fleet, Verizon Business gives you real-time visibility into your supply chain so you can keep on trucking ahead of demand in the competition. Learn more at verizon.com/distribution. And we've had a lot happen in the last 48 to 72 hours. I was looking at the story earlier from Tesla. So looking at it, it has been essentially, Tesla's back and forth in the headlines all the time. But of course, this time it's legal and it's settlements instead of innovation. So looking at this article, Tesla settled 2 California lawsuits related to crashes involving its autopilot system. The settlements came right after a huge Florida court ruling that hit Tesla with over $240 million in damages. Basically, this is going to highlight concerns about the safety of oversight of self-driving tech. So my question for you is, do you think this will slow Tesla's push on full self-driving, or is this just the cost of doing business with autonomous vehicles?
Cost of doing business. To
Yeah.
be honest with you, this is one of those situations where when we're thinking about it, autopilot has been around for years.
Right.
Tesla used it. These are my words. It's almost like we were the beta testers of it. These cases probably stem from earlier versions of it when you're working out the kinks. And one of the big things you've got to think about as well is this also extends into autonomy in the trucking space.
Right.
So I'm going to start by saying, first off, if you've seen the new Tesla autopilot and you use it, it actually makes you pay attention. You are the safety driver in the version. So I wondered, why were they making that? I had a buddy who's a brand new Tesla owner. He says, yeah, it'll disable itself and yell at me if I don't pay attention to the road. So we saw those videos of people falling asleep in the Teslas, doing their math homework. That's not happening anymore right now partially because of these blockbuster things. And so when we think of the car sector, we also need to extend to the truck sector. So I'm going to wrap this around for trucking. There's a reason why we have the safety drivers right now. OEMs are requiring it also because when you're doing all of these miles in testing, you need somebody in it. We saw recently with Bot Auto that they did a driverless fully out validation. The key thing they said though was validation. They're like, look, We reached base camp. We're on our way to fully autonomous Everest. But guess what? We got new stuff we need to put on the truck. We're going to have new hardware. We're going to go back to having safety drivers. We're going to keep testing it. And so one of the things for drivers who are thinking about Tesla, autonomy, and all of this is that it is an iterative process. And so it makes a lot of sense in this context because the risks are big if you screw it up.
The risks are big. I have a buddy of mine, believe it or not, he actually works at Tesla here in Chattanooga. And I see all the things. I was actually there a couple of days ago and just, the features that you're talking about, like I can only imagine that like being within a truck and just seeing like the deficiencies that can come with that. Like that is truly crazy. So it's something to keep our eye out on.
It definitely is. And I mean, a lot of the innovations and stuff with Tesla, they really like computer vision. They like cameras. And so that's one of the other things to watch out for is compared to other cars with LiDAR, they may eventually, fun fact with Tesla, I joke it's called a Butlerian jihad against LiDAR arrays
Yeah.
because they're like $10,000, $20,000. They're getting cheaper now, but pay close attention for your Tesla fans if we eventually see types of LiDAR to augment the cameras. Right now, Volvo has one and a few others, but it adds a lot more to the vehicle. And one more fact, if you see a LiDAR array, don't put your phone camera in front of it. High frequency pulse modulation. It goes and it'll fry your iPhone camera. So yeah, make sure if you're in the press, don't look directly into the eye.
So don't look directly into the eye and don't look directly into the light. Y'all see why I brought the Sensei on, right? Like, this is what my man does. All he does is deliver. We should call you Thomas DoorDash Wasson. That should be you because you just deliver.
Well, it's like, what was it? Stetson Bennett was the paper guy.
He was the mailman.
Mailman.
The
Man,
mailman.
I can't even get that now. Should
Well,
have had him on for parcel.
listen,
store.
it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. So we were talking about this piece from Outpost. So Outpost doubles terminal network capacity to 1 billion. So, I mean, basically how I'm thinking about this is that they're thinking big, and I'm saying really big. They're doubling terminal capacity. So essentially at a 1 billion mark network, they're focusing on creating scalable carrier agnostic terminals for more efficient cargo handling. And they're just positioning themselves essentially as a major player in our infrastructure. So my question to you is, with Outpost scaling like this, how do you see it shaking up the terminal as well as the freight network game?
I think the easiest way to describe it, because when we talk about supply chain, we use a lot of mumbo jumbo. Terminal on demand.
Yeah.
Say you need some spots, boom, I got you. Say you've got an autonomous truck who needs somewhere to go, I got you covered. Let's say you're a broker and you just landed a large customer like a Walmart and you need a drop lot to help out. They got you covered. So what we're seeing in this space is I report on EVs and technology in the hardware and physical infrastructure spot. Some people are having their own white glove locations. Other people are making them on demand. This is a really big deal with Outpost because they also have some really cool tech, which is automated computer vision gate check-ins.
Really?
So they figured out the part to validate, are you who you are? And they thought to themselves, I got to interview the CEO. They were like, look, it's like a win-win. So we're just going to like buy the terminal and we're going to use our homebrew kit and we're going to provide you with some offices, some bays, some other stuff. This is really cool. This is something to pay attention to because as we see changes in the supply chain, I said it twice, but as we see these changes, folks are going to need that flexibility. And so far, customers have been really excited about it. You can use them, autonomy in future applications. It's hard to get industrial real estate. Think of SimCity.
Yeah.
Except imagine you try to rezone for industrial, but the little citizens rise up for NIMBYs and they fight you for it. And so this is super important because this stuff is in demand. It's premium. I love to see it. Shout out to the guys at Outpost. Big congratulations as well. Keep up the good work.
Keep up the good work indeed. And, big rail mergers might not be as sweet as they seem, right? So there was a rail merger warning, so higher cost or service is ahead. The key points and the high level points from this is, shippers are concerned that a Union Pacific Norfolk Southern merger could drive up the cost and reduce service quality. Regulatory approval is a hot topic, of course, due to the potential negative effects on freight. So to you, are bigger rail companies really better, or is this just a way for them to kind of flex the muscles, the power at the expense of shippers?
I want to see it happen. We've built the railroads for coming up on 200 years.
Yeah.
We had the goal for a transcontinental railroad. We finally get the potential for one, and you're just saying well, I don't like it because it's going to cost more. Well, guess what? I'm sorry. Sometimes now, the shippers that are concerned, let me caveat this. The reason we are hearing this is because these folks are concerned certain chemical companies have rail yards. certain places you can only get it from the rail. So when you see these news, remember, put on your hat that these are usually customers who are concerned because that's their only option. You can't just get a hazmat tanker truck to it's not economical enough to do it. Automotive as well. You've got railheads at automotive factories. So this is one of those conversations where this is going to be a years long effort. It's up to the two companies to put together their homework, and they're going to have to show their work to the STB and say, look, we're not going to screw you over. I know we have in the past through our own little ways, but at the end of the day, this should be something interesting to watch. I think it should happen. We've had a situation where we had a lot of various, we can go into rail lore one day. Rail lore.
Rail lore,
Ooh,
folks.
remember that time like JP Morgan and the other one to try to get all the rail guys together like Monopoly and be like, stop screwing up. And so that's when we started seeing the very early days of these mergers and consolidations. And so, I mean, I say it's an inevitability. Now, we don't know the outcome, but it should be very interesting because a few things that we have not considered was that when we had all of these disparate rail lines, they had to hand it to somebody else, like in Chicago, Memphis. So let's say we are a West Coast Class 1 rail.
Right.
We make Chicago in there. It takes additional days. It takes additional paperwork. They take over. They get paid. Transcontinental, baby, you just go, bam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Ride the rails. Let's see what happens.
Ride the rails and let's see what happens. Wham bam, thank you, man. That is you're the man. So I saw this story, of course, yesterday. The dwell down for LA Long Beach container trucks as well as rail. So obviously good news at the ports. Things are moving faster. The dwell times dropped significantly in August. I mean, it's 2.73 days on average. There's efficiency gains despite near record cargo volumes. It could signal smoother flows for supply chains and trucking operations. But my question is, does this trend signal a real turnaround, or is this just a blip in the data? It's kind of like a faux, essentially.
You picked the right man. Back in the day, I was a load planner at US Express. As a load planner, I did three things really. I assigned loads to trucks.
Okay.
I managed the ability of inbound loads and trucks, and I had to deal with trailers. And so I'm going to shout out to Adam Howard. He was one of my managers, load planning manager, former baseball player too,
Oh,
like
nice.
professional ball player. Adam Howard, you were really good. So I want to give you the quote. You told me a few weeks back, trailers are like cigarettes in prison. You have to have them to get anything done. That was my quote, and I'm going to say it one more time. You have to have them to get anything done. Dwell time means that my trailers are tied up longer.
Yeah.
I cannot turn faster. If we see an instance where the dwell times are going lower, that is a boon because it gives me more operational flexibility to turn and make some magic happen. Doesn't matter if it's a dry van or a chassis. The longer they sit, the less money you're making. Now, the downside is, what is the dog that's not barking? The dog that's not barking is dwell times are down because volumes are coming. They're trickling down. We had the
For
big
sure.
boom with July, August. We had the second pull forward. And so at the end of the day, this was one of the biggest challenges during COVID and other times was trailers were getting holed up, bottlenecks, sitting on the things. So we couldn't get them out. So I think ultimately this is a great thing. And I want folks to understand that when we report on things like trailer dwell and utilization, that is just as important as trucks. Because if I have enough trailers, if I have 3 trailers in one truck, you bet your sweet butt that truck's going to pick and drop 2 of those loads and run one out.
Absolutely.
You gotta have the trailers, or it's like your clocks, your pipes getting clogged metaphorically in the supply chain.
Uh, Man, you are. I have so many questions.
I had a lot of coffee this morning.
Like, no, like you're jazzed up, but like it's like legitimately great information for all of our listeners. And I told you guys at the start of the show, I mean, you are now walking into the dojo with the sensei himself, Thomas Wasson, and walk me through how do we end up here? You've done a lot, man, in your career. Like we talked about it, of course, yesterday. We met one-on-one and just really chopped it up. And I learned and I'm gonna continue to learn so much. But how did you make it from like where you've been handling everything from, I mean, private fleets? I mean, you've worked your way up in your career to now like this is what you do for a living, man. And you do it very, very well.
It literally started with a newspaper cartoon, the cartoon Dilbert.
Yeah.
Remember that? The guy
Yeah.
Scott Adams. So he also wrote some books, and one of the books he had back in the day, it was called "How to Fail at Everything and Still Win Big."
Yeah.
And so he said, when I started this cartoon, I was not the funniest guy. I was not the best drawing person. I was not the best writer, but I did have some corporate experience working in an office. He said each of those talents was not enough, but if you stack those talents up, I became what I am today. And so for me, where I am today is all about the talent stack. I started out, I was supposed to be in the Army. I was going to have a lieutenant, Eagle Scout, full ride scholarship in the reserves, secret security clearance. I ran 2 seconds too slow. All that went out the window. No job, girlfriend left me, got let go, the whole shebang. I was a security guard at a polysilicon construction factory right out of college.
For real?
For real. Working in Cleveland, Tennessee, up in Charleston. I was working for $10 an hour, just checking people in. The guys, the executives, and the German folks will come and talk to me. I just got my degree. I didn't know what I was going to do with myself.
Yeah.
So I met my now wife. She was my girlfriend at the time. She said, "You know what? Try out trucking. I'm applying for U.S. Express. It's in Chattanooga. Give it a go." So I saw this job, weekend dispatch, extended coverage. $34,000 a year back in 14, which was good money back in 14.
Oh, yeah.
That was about the same as starting as an officer. So I thought, hell yeah, let's just
You're like, run it.
So I started that, and I gave it a go. It was 3 12-hour shifts, Saturday, Sunday, and Thursday, and I had 300 trucks. And this was back in after U.S. Express had absorbed Arnold Transportation. We had Arnold Jacksonville fleets. We had the whole shebang. So I started out, no idea about trucking. No idea. People will still say I have no idea about trucking, but I digress.
I beg to differ.
Listeners here. But so I started with that, and for the first 6 months, there were 2 guys, R.L. Thompson and Donnie Lofty, who they gave me the time of day. I was some slick sleeve for 6 months. I sat across just like this, and I'd be like, Donnie, R.L., what does this mean? What is terminal transfer? What does it mean to dispatch? What are these statuses? I don't know. I've got a call. This driver says this. These people believed in me, and this is part of my journey because I am a byproduct. I'm the tip of an iceberg of people in the supply chain who said, I want to give this guy a chance. I want to pass it forward. And so then I got on to daytime. A guy named Warren Luttrell gave me a shot running Team Expedites. I had 55 trucks. And so I started working with that because I helped them on the weekends. My point of this story, as I'm telling you this, listeners, is always be helpful, always be useful. Try to be as nice as you can. This is not always a nice industry because it's very stressful, but be useful. And so then my talent stack grew. Dispatcher, team fleets, expedited, HVP. Next thing, load planner. Now I'm going to assign trucks to loads. At U.S. Express, our load planners had to have 2 years of fleet ops experience.
Really?
Yeah, because you don't understand how to assign a load to a driver unless you've managed the driver. You don't know what kind of driver you've got. You got to look at their hours of service and know, are you a 400-mile-a-day driver or are you a 650-mile-a-day driver? Because there's a big difference in a mega carrier.
Huge.
Did that for like a year and a half or 2. Got an option for a freight analyst. I was like, okay, now my talent stack is building. I've planned the trucks. Let's bid on the loads. Boom. So I did that at the middle of the night with an Amazon and FedEx inbox. I made like $1 million in straight rev in like 4 months. And all I did was like RFPs, requests for the things, boom, send it, preload it. I was sneaky too. I'd preload these HVP loads, drop them in. I'd call drivers saying, what load are you running? Oh, you're not running that load anymore. You're running my load. And I'd assign it. And then they get mad and they'd start like talking smack to me. Like, why'd you do that? And I was like, look at the rate, $5,500, $6,000. Look at my rate. And so then they shut up. $500,000 in straight margin. In an industry where you make 10%, I was pulling 50% just sitting around listening to podcasts and bidding. It was back in 17. It was so stupid back then. You remember the boom times.
No. I was
Yeah.
in the thick of the boom times.
We're continuing with the lore here for the sake of it because I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I then got an opportunity to finally reach middle management. It was called Truckload Network Design Manager, and I'm in my late 20s at the time. I know I had a little bit more hair back then.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, you're looking better than me.
Sorry. You know, sometimes it just goes in this game.
The joke with a U.S. Express as a load planner was it's like the mob. Once you get made, they keep pulling you back in. So like Danny Glover on Lethal Weapon, I thought, it's like, I'm supposed to be retired. They called me back in. So I became the equivalent of a load planning manager, but I had this really cool role where I did favors to create business. At U.S. Express, we had 2,500 trucks at the time that did OTR. My job was to help optimize it because within these large companies, it's not like you or me dispatching. It is Ohio 3 and Ohio 4 have an inbound variance of plus 50. What's pulling in? We need to help manage this market and balance it out. I know Ohio 1 and 2 are to negative 15. I can't pull enough assets down. I need to see where are these lanes coming in, who's the RFP, who's the customer mix, what's the turn ratio. Trailer turn ratios and dwell times are just as important. So my job was to help between our pricing analyst, customer service managers, load planning managers, fleet operations, fleet owners, fleet directors, safety and compliance, and maintenance. I worked among all of of these groups to try and make things optimized. So I did that for a little bit. It was very much a fun job. I had some really great people who helped me out. Christy Shadwick was one of those who gave me a shot. She was one of those. Jeremy Reed was one. There was a lot of fun individuals. There's so many names. I wish I could mention everybody. We'll put a list on the thing there. But so I got to the apex of my corporate career, and I ended up screwing it up, how to fail at everything that still wins big, by I thought in my infinite wisdom that I'd help replace the ELDs. So the guy, chief strategy officer at the time, was like, we want to try to make things better. So like, will you help me with this? I'm like, sure, I'm a helpful guy. Well, I didn't know you needed to make sure all your bosses were included on that. And so Steve Phillips and Kyle Schroeder, who was my boss, I was really helpful, but then they started getting emails saying that we're bringing in vendors, and they're like, what the hell is this guy doing? And I was like, I'm helpful. And it turns out you're not helping, because then like, what have you been cooking up? So I got in trouble a little bit, got my hand slapped, but it was a great example because there's always something to learn. And within US Express, people give mega carriers a hard time, but it really did teach me a lot, because I got an opportunity to arrive logistics. I wanted to become a freight broker. The old joke at US Express was, you go to a broker, you think it's fun, you go back to Asset, you think it's fun. It's not fun.
No,
It's not fun at all.
not at all.
It's a parking lot covered in bird doo-doo, if you ask me. People think the grass is greener. It is pavement. There's a line, and there's poop on both ends. That's how it works, drivers. So if you think you would become a broker, God help you. It's just a different kind of suck. So I ended up at Arrive Logistics. They started me as a carrier sales rep. Shout out to Asa Shirley.
Hey, we love Asa Shirley here on the show.
Asa gave me the opportunity in the interview. There was Scott Massey, Matt Gardner, Jason Melnick too.
Ooh.
Howdy guy.
Yeah.
You remember Melnick? Big shout out to these guys. They gave me a chance. They taught me. I was some kid who thought I was smart, and it's one thing to be trucker smart. It's another thing to be broker smart. And boy, I sucked at it. So how to fail at everything and still win big? I sucked. I was a carrier sales rep, and back in 19, I was getting hung up on, because you got to learn how to speak the loads.
You absolutely
Hey, I
do.
got 42.5, pick it up here, delivering here, this many miles, this many things. Here's the commodity. And I was like, hey, I'm Thomas. Who are you? I'm Thomas with Arrive Logistics. Click. 10 calls an hour, 100 calls a day. It was literally that way. So they figured out my skills were for wrangling. Became an account executive.
Okay.
You're a marriage counselor. In a Chicago split model, you have one group who finds the trucks, one group who finds the customers,
Yes.
and the account executives help with a bunch of over-eager, dramatized men who are yelling at each other, and women who are yelling at each other saying, why didn't you give me this load? Why did you give it to this guy for $50 more? I can't believe this. I'm talking to your manager. My manager's like, you need to talk to Thomas, because he's the guy.
He's the guy.
So I got to work under some accounts. Tyler Montgomery, I was his account executive. Ryan Dougherty, a lot of great people in the Chattanooga area. I got to learn a lot. Matt Gardner taught me everything I knew as well in terms of account stuff. We did a great job. COVID happened. I got laid off. Failed again. How to fail at everything and still win big. Laid off, collecting unemployment. A guy named Marco Corey reached out to me with a company at the time that didn't have a name. He was the chief strategy officer at US Express, and Mark said, hey, Thomas, saw you're no longer at US Express. I was so embarrassed. I didn't have the heart to tell him I got laid off and I'm collecting STEMI money. I was like, yeah, I'd love to help you out. So I did some consulting with Mark.
Okay.
They ran out of money because I did an okay job, but I was also learning what I was supposed to do. He got a seed round, and I got to be hired at a company called AI Fleet. They're an autonomous, AI-driven trucking tech startup out of Austin, Texas. Very honored to be the either first or second person hired for W-2, depending upon who you ask. And it goes to show that when you try to help people, those ripples extend in ways you will never understand. Marco Corey gave me a shot. I got to help build and dispatch from the ground up. I had to learn what it's like to manage a small fleet. I had 5 drivers. I got up to 7, but it's really hard. You're the breakdown. You're the customer service rep. You're the guy booking the loads. You're the driver manager. You're helping with the payroll. It was such a unique experience that it was a complete opposite of being spoiled rotten. At a mega carrier, there's always someone for it. Talk to payroll. Talk to customer service. Let me coordinate with this. Let me coordinate with that. As a small fleet, you are the guy. And so this is all coming up to FreightWaves, and I'll take a pause with the FreightWaves stuff. But at AI Fleet, we busted our butts 60, 80 hours a week. You took care of your people. I had West Coast drivers, East Coast drivers. I had some really great drivers. You get to know your drivers. Darren Hancock, who lived in Lolo, Montana, would send me pictures when he'd go on the weekends with his family. I had Christine and another guy, the Colons. They were out of Las Vegas. There were so many people that a lot of people think with my social media presence that I'm just talking about autonomous trucks, but there's a very real, especially Driver Appreciation Week. You get to know your people, and they're like your family. You talk to them every day. You want to see them succeed. You can't describe that experience of working with drivers and seeing what they go through, because it goes from like a large mega fleet where I don't talk to half my board
Right.
to I know them all on a first name basis. It's not truck 515475, trailer 115216. It's Peter. It's, Darren. It's all of these individuals. And so I'm working this job. I'm working busting my tail, and I just see this job at FreightWaves. I heard of FreightWaves at the time, read a little bit of the site.
Of course.
The funny part was that I used to have to get old transport topic articles from like the paper ones,
Yeah.
and it'd be like 2 months too late, and I'd have to read those thinking I was smart. So I'd start reading FreightWaves. So I knew about them. It said enterprise trucking carrier expert. The job description said you are going to write a newsletter and you get a podcast. And I thought, man, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm getting my teeth kicked in. It's a hard job. What dispatchers and drivers go through is not easy.
No doubt. No
I
doubt.
applied for it. JP Hampstead, Zach Strickland, they interviewed me. Thought I bombed it. How to fail at everything and still win big. Turns 3, I was like, I talk just as much as I did right now, but less eloquent. Thought I screwed it up. So I'm like, God, I got to get better at my job. So I busted butt like an AI fleet. And then 3 months later, they reached out and like, hey, you still want this job? They were like, well, the other guy we had didn't last. He didn't work out. And I was like, well, I guess that's good for me. I don't know who that, never knew that person was, but thank you.
Thank you to whoever that was.
Yeah, never knew. So I got to start it, and I started in 2021 in like August or October.
Okay.
It's like cat years in this industry, dog years,
No, it is.
Well,
It is.
and so we'll take a pause real quick, but that was the first part, which is the talent stack. I was never the best at any of my roles. I will always say there was someone better than what I did because they were so focused. But at the end of the day, I got to be the most unique person in that I've done so many different roles. It's like Captain Planet. You combine all the earth, wind, fire,
What a fool.
wind, and heart.
What a fool.
I'm like, boom, Captain Planet. So that's how I got in. And when I first started at FreightWaves, I'm not going to lie, I bombed.
Yeah.
There's a great interview of Michael Vincent somewhere. He's like, what exactly do you do here again? And that was on my first day. And I was like,
You're like,
well, spaghetti falling out of my pockets. Like, I've been grilled before,
Yeah.
It was so much fun because I had to learn, and you really had to learn the job. It's
sure.
one thing to say it, it's another to write. So the first 2 years at FreightWaves, I had loaded and rolling the newsletter. I started learning how to write. The goal was not to screw it up. We had the podcast, the early episodes. By year 3, I start to understand how this game works.
Yeah.
And that's the important part, because you have to keep learning. If any advice I give you is just keep learning, get out of your comfort zone. And then Alan Adler, I got the opportunity to take over Truck Tech, which is another beat. That's how I learned to become a writer. Was he had the ability, there it is, put Truck Tech up there. He believed in me like a bunch of other people did. And I want to thank Alan Adler for giving me a shot as well. He put me in touch with Volvo, Daimler, all of these large companies, and I was just an analyst. I was an analyst who wrote market data and research. Now I got to become a writer. And then once you become a writer, someone says you're a writer. And then you become an editor and a journalist. So now I'm a journalist. I'm also an analyst. I'm also this and this. And it allows me the opportunity to have so many conversations. And I want listeners and drivers to understand is like, I may report on things that you may not like. I may talk about autonomy. I may talk about the changes in trucking. But at the end of the day, on the office side, I am bullish on drivers. And I'm bullish on the American trucker. Never count people out, because as much as there's this sexy technology, at the end of the day, we are, as a culture, we're people. And so I want to remind listeners because I can get spicy on my X platform. I get a lot of haters because they think I'm somewhere, I'm shilling for the man. I don't get paid extra. I don't get paid on how many people read on it. My job's to provide you with information. If you want to use it, you can. At the end of the day, be useful. So that's where I am. That's the long story. Dang, I like could like 15 minutes out of this thing.
No,
but
you were good.
it's the lore.
You're good. I wanted the lure. I mean, you answered like a lot of my questions. I mean, I had the one thing I want you to go back to is loaded and rolling. Like, how did this you got involved in it? How did this take flight? How did this take flight? Because it's taken flight, but like, how did you really it was like plug and play? I mean, was there hiccups along the way? Like,
Oh, yes. So, loaded and rolling started because when I was a freight broker, we used tracking and updates, LNR.
Okay.
LNR means driver is dispatched en route or he is loaded and rolling. Mary O'Connell, who was came in a few months before me, had check call. And in the broker world, check call was we're doing a tracking update.
Mm.
And so in trucking, we had the term dispatched, loaded, DP status, different statuses like dispatched empty means you're en route to pick, DP means you're dispatched and loaded. But loaded and rolling was such a great name, and we're like, well, let's make it for the trucking podcast. I
fine.
got a great story. I have the color purple and loaded and rolling. It's the only color purple you'll see on a FreightWaves thing because Craig is a Baylor fan and TCU is purple. He does not like
Wow.
purple. So I hit under for 2 years. I got to get away with the color purple with a synth wave. And by then it kind of got stuck around. But that's why if you see, we normally have the blues. And so I was one of the very few ones. And I just like the retro vapor well. I didn't even know.
No doubt.
Yeah, thankfully the horned toads aren't doing too well this season. But at the end, that was when we first started, it was 3,000 words. I just didn't know how much to do, so I just wrote. I would write these long, lengthy things. The second iteration was we started writing small 300-word blocks. And then we started adding a sonar chart that I reused that I wrote. Anytime you see me put a sonar chart, normally it's something I've wrote as part of a thing to sonar subscribers. And then it turned into this most recent iteration. We realized that we have so many great writers that I take the top 5 stories that I find, I'll do a sonar thing, I'll do stuff I find from around the web, and then I'll put a podcast episode. So it's evolved. It's always about evolving. Try what works and keep iterating. And don't be afraid to fail, because even if you fail, you learn something. And that was kind of what Loaded. I remember Steve Barrett was our editor at the time, and he gets so mad. He's like, these need to be like 900 words. And no one had told me at the time. So I'm busting out 3,000 words, I'm giving the people what they want. You can still find them under my stuff if you go all the way back. I uploaded them on WordPress. So they're up there, the big chunky ones. But it was so much fun. At FreightWaves, it was a really great opportunity to learn, but you've got to be driven and you've got to be willing to do stuff. It's the coolest job in the world, but you got to imagine every single day you wake up, how am I going to provide value? What good have I done for the world today?
Yeah, man, that is you speaking candidly. And I mean, I'm obviously with being here on What the Truck and getting this thing off the ground, a new reiteration of it. Like, I'm going to do my best to take some of that and just to run with it because, I mean, this is yes for the people, but like, this is for me too. Like, I'm over here like ready to run through a wall. So this has been a constant theme, obviously, Trucker Appreciation Week. You have been around truckers, what seems for half of your life, right? If not more.
It's been a minute.
What do you think, because we've had a lot of different answers, but what does really it mean to appreciate a trucker or a driver?
You treat every week as Trucker Appreciation Week.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. I'd get so mad at my corporate job sometimes. They tried. Werner's, U.S. Express's, Heartland Schneider's, they do it as part of their thing. You go to a terminal, you get a free meal that week, or you'll get special discounts. We would, as office staff, go down. My favorite thing that U.S. Express did was our million milers. We'd route them in, and we'd be on the third floor in the entire operation. The entire company, third floor was ops. The whole company stopped. $1.5 billion, multi-billion-dollar trucking company stopped what they were doing for that period to allow those drivers to get to walk over there and have meetings with executives. And we clapped. I mean, it was,
Wow.
people may think, drivers will come on and say, well, that's just a bunch of, fluffing people up. But you got to imagine, very few jobs I've worked, and even coming from my little experiences as military and background and law enforcement, very few times would you stop everything that you're doing
For sure.
to do something. The only other time I saw it was with a dispatcher if they stopped something for someone who had died or something. So it was very rare to celebrate drivers, and the million-mile drivers, million-mile-plus drivers were super important. It's something that I think we have to, I think for Driver Appreciation Week, my message is this: remember that trucking is a job and that trucking is also a lifestyle. Sometimes we get so focused on battling in each other over the job, we forget that it takes a unique individual to do long-haul trucking. You are away from your family, you are away from your kids, you miss birthdays, you miss Christmas, you're dealing with some schmuck like me telling you everything's going to be okay when you're stuck at a dock for 6 hours and you feel nobody cares about you. You got to remember that. It's not an easy job. And it's one of those things where sometimes as a dispatcher, I tell them, don't get that hate in your heart. Always treat reset, reset, reset. You're going to have hard days. You're going to have hard conversations. People are going to walk up to you saying, why are you a piece of crap? Why'd you let your driver be late? Why didn't they update it? Why? Coulda, shoulda, woulda. My dad had a great conversation. If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. And that's the story of truck. I knew I'd get you to crack up, but that's one of the things for this driver appreciation. I want to encourage everybody to just say thank you. And
Yeah.
just don't be afraid to point out the good. Thanks for this load. Thanks for this update. Thanks for helping me out. Thanks for stopping what you were doing and cutting your 34-hour reset short to bail me out. We just need a lot more gratitude. And I know I'm not the messenger. I know drivers are looking to someone who's done it because it's a lifestyle in and of itself. But coming from the office side, we are nothing without the folks who are in the seats every day busting it out. So I think, going beyond the platitudes and the promises and the banners and stuff, I want the people to think internally, try to every single day have that level of gratitude, because the job's not easy. And if you're not careful, if you don't remind yourself of the good, you'll go down the path of a Sith Lord. You'll get that hate in your heart and you'll say, oh, well, they're all just drivers. They're all just that. You've got to watch out. It gets so easy in this job to dehumanize the people on both sides. I understand why my drivers would think I'm some shill or some schmuck, some jabroni. They'd be like, this guy doesn't understand, because they've had a hard day. And then it turns into, well, then the managers get ate up. And then they're like, well, it's just trucking.
Yeah.
So just for this week, I guess that's the important thing to let people know and let listeners know is that, at the end of the day, it's super important. Without this job, in 72 hours, everything stops. 72 hours without a truck delivering something, everything stops. So technically, you're saving the world every day if you think about it.
That's such a wild stat to think about, because it is true, and it's something that's not thought of often. I know that in a broker seat that I've been in, I have been in screaming matches with drivers. I've hung up on drivers. Like, I will be the first to say, like, it has been tough, but also it's like taking a step back and listening to, this entire week, and, having like the self-awareness, like, yo, like, hey, drivers are just more than just a ticket just so you get some profit in your name. Like, they're
Hear
actually
the
people.
story. Every driver has a story, and
Yeah.
I love it. I wish that we did a more job to have a driver on and tell their story. I've had former professors decide this is what they, husband and wife couples who team up as their retirement, a person who just came out of the military and they want to try for something, but they're still working through some demons. I've had people all the way from this is my brand new CDL school to I'm a 30-year driver who's trying it out. Everyone has such an amazing story. My director, Jeremy Reed, I had such a great conversation in the office side. He started as a warehouse guy. I started as a security guard. He worked on a warehouse, worked his way up. Trucking is one of the very few instances on both sides of the aisle that the American dream still can work. You can bust your butt as a no-name broker, grind out a call, and you get that one lucky call, that one perfect time where the one person has a good day for once in their life and they give you a shot. Just like with my job right now, I've grinded out. I had that one moment, a little bit of luck through this combination of talents where somebody said, I'm going to give you a shot. And so with drivers, it's the same way. We got to always remind ourselves that, like, listen to the story. If you're looking on a load and you know this person's legit, give them a shot. Try to help out. That's the best part. It's just the stories. It's the stories of America. A microcosm of America is trucking. And that's why we have so much on the X platform and LinkedIn and all there's these concerns because, there's been in the past 2 or 3 decades structural changes in how our country has worked. And trucking is kind of the canary in the coal mine. And so, it's such an interesting thing. I don't think it's ever going to go away.
No.
Never will. But God, it's just that gives me the goosebumps.
No, it got me over here.
The stories of America, of what it does, is what gives it. And that's why, for my driver appreciation, if you're a driver, tell them your story. Don't be a face. Don't be 117215. Don't be that transactional. Tell us who you are. Go on social media and talk about your day. Show me a picture of what you've done at the truck stop. Everything these drivers do in this new social age is letting the wider public know that your job is hard and your story matters. I love it. Mother Trucker News, there's a whole breed of influencers. Everyone is talking about what they do. There's a guy named Ed Mapes on the X platform. He cooks food in his truck. I love his stuff because you don't understand what they go through unless you share it. And so for this Driver Appreciation Week, drivers, share everything. Share what you go through. It doesn't go unseen. You never know who's going to pick it up, and the stories get out, and that's the biggest thing for me.
I love it. Nah, that for me, I know we looking ahead, right? We're honoring drivers this week. It should be year round. You gave me the goosebumps. I'm over here being like, man, like we need to do better. Um, you know, what are the biggest takeaways that someone can do? To your point, it needs to be year round, but how can people get more invested and involved to supporting drivers? And because there's a lot of challenges. Adam Wingfield was on the show this week. He spoke to it, Heather Williams as well. But from your seat as a reporter and what you've seen and what you've been through, what are things that we can all just do better for drivers?
I think from a media standpoint, celebrating the stories, telling the stories.
Yeah.
I love interviews I get to have with companies where they tell me their story. The second thing I think of is knowing where to look and looking through all the noise for the signal, because there are drivers out there who are meaningfully trying to make a difference and trying to talk about their lifestyle. And my job in the media is if I had a button where I could just promote everyone, I'm not that popular. I don't have that big of a reach.
No, you are that popular.
No,
brother.
but like
You're that guy.
if there's any way I could help that out, because like that's the coolest thing in the world. I love
sure.
the videos where they just talk about their day. They show me a pre-trip. They show me this, because when I worked in an office, it's one thing to say you didn't do your pre-trip. It's one thing to say you got delayed. It's another thing for me to see.
Yeah.
Persuasion wise, share everything.
Yeah.
You got a shipper treating you wrong, you got a problem you see, run it up, because there may be some. I've had a lot of scoops and leads from drivers messaging me saying this is kind of weird, and it turns out that they're on the very tip of an iceberg where there's some structural things going down with a customer, with a shipper. Heck, we figured out in Chattanooga somebody kept spilling hazardous materials and people thought it was the carrier. It was a shipper that wasn't loading it right. And I mean, it happened 3 different times, and they finally the FMCSA got onto them, and through reporting and local affiliates. So yeah, get involved. Keep posting, keep getting out there, keep telling your story. This new breed of driver is more likely to do it, but also think for the old timers, share the history of what trucking used to be. My favorite stories were the old days of US Express, where you'd go to a load board at a terminal and you'd pick your loads out. And like sometimes I heard the stories where drivers, if you took care of them, they put money under your keyboard. Kid you not. This was like 10, 15 years ago, the early 2000s. Like,
Are you for real?
seriously. And then sometimes you'd fight each other in the parking lot. It was the office workers. No one would ever fight a driver, people.
I was gonna say
But the
drivers
office
might
work,
think
it
it.
was so stressful. They'd like go outside and fight in the parking lot, brush themselves off, and like come back in. Max Fuller has such great stories. Craig Fuller got to interview him for Fuller Speed Ahead.
Yeah.
You've got to hear the story. Trucking is just as much the story of the changing nature of America as it is with these little things like trailers and how you started it. God, that's what I love. That's what I want more of. I want people to because if it's digital, save the stories, because it's almost like losing history.
No doubt.
The story and history of America is tied to these truckers. It was one of those jobs where you were, blue collar, lifeblood, very much tip of the spear in terms of what's going on economically. And I just love it when I can talk to a driver and they tell me how things used to be. The demise of truck stops. Truck stop food is one of those stories. And it's a microcosm of the bigger changes where you no longer have time because of ELDs to enjoy a home cooked meal. And you'd have these small little rest areas that could be supported by truckers who would come in and they'd know your name and you could have a good meal. Now it's all just, prepackaged CPG products clogging your arteries. And so those are the things don't forget. For Trucker Appreciation Week, I know we're coming up on time. Remember the stories, tell the stories, share the stories. No one knows your story unless you tell it. Give us more stories, because that's what humanizes trucking. And God bless. I know we need more humanization in this world with all this technology. So don't make it sterile. Give us some color.
I told you guys that you guys would be with the Sensei, and here at What the Truck and the Dojo, the Sensei has delivered. I'm taking you through rapid fire because I've asked all the guests this week. So you just talked about it. It was a great speaking point, but favorite truck stop food? What are you thinking?
Oh, man. Breakfast food.
Yeah? Are you a bacon or sausage guy?
Bacon guy
Okay.
all the way. Get bacon and sausage and eggs. Do the whole shebang.
Yeah.
But smothered in gravy. Give it to me. I'll take all that, and then I'll just pass out from a carb crash.
All right. Coffee or energy drink?
Coffee,
Yeah.
black.
Black, no sugar, no
Well, I
cream.
had some Vietnamese coffee earlier. It's called 3-in-1. It's got a G5 helicopter.
Yeah.
I got it from my Vietnamese bro nail tech. I know, I have fancy nails. Wired. It's got a picture of a helicopter. Find it. It's all pre-made. It's very popular in other parts of the world for instant coffee. That's why I
Yeah.
got it instead of your traditional drip.
One piece of tech that you can't live without if you're on the road.
Cell phone.
Cell
Stay in
phone?
touch with your family. Keep your logs. Everything's on a cell phone now.
Yeah. What dream route that we're taking when we're in the big rig? Where we're going? Like coast?
I-40 coast to coast.
Yeah.
Go through New Mexico, Arizona. See the part of America that our greatest writers wrote about, and get to see it instead of being stuck inside at home.
Nice, nice. Well, those are great answers. I want to bring something out real fast. This is a new segment, all right? So it's time for a little chaos. This is essentially going to be what the truck is that. So think of it, y'all, as America's Funniest Videos. Every single week, we're gonna essentially tee up some videos with our instant reactions. I think it's funny. I think you guys are gonna think it's funny, and this is only gonna get better. And with that, whenever there is different content that you guys see, we officially are on all platforms. Like I've been screaming at you since I've started here on the show. Make sure you tag me. Make sure you tag the show. What the truck is that is the hashtag. So check out these clips real quick, and let's get some laughs in.
We used to run 1,400 miles a day. Regulation back in the day was a lot smarter. You can write on the book. The logbook wasn't digital.
Yeah, that digital messed everything up.
That digital messed it up. I used to keep 2 logbooks. 2 logbooks.
I heard 3
You
back in my
run
days.
your 600 miles.
Mm-hmm.
You get pulled over by DOT. Give them the first book. Run your second 600-mile run. Get pulled over by DOT. You're going to run another logbook. Logbook 1, logbook 2.
You ain't lying.
So you give them that second logbook. Don't get them mixed up. You get there on the scales and you're overweight, you asking for trouble, brother.
Used to be great line in there.
But if you get that, if you run 1,600 miles now,
yeah,
you go state penitentiary.
you get locked up.
That takes you to state penitentiary.
Back in the day, you used to go from Virginia to California.
I went from Pensacola, Florida, to Atlanta, Georgia, to Detroit, Michigan, to Canada.
Canada.
I ran overnight freight through Canada.
You even got
without a passport. We used to run.
You had your 3 logbooks, I used to be told. One that you had for your fleet manager, one for the DOT, and the one you really ran.
Man, that brother is going to prison, dog.
He pleads the 5th.
Yo, this next one is gonna be from my man that we're gonna have here on the show in a few weeks. Y'all tee it up for me.
How is it that you're double cheeked up on a Tuesday morning at the truck stop at the Loves in Memphis, Tennessee? I mean, I just can't. The truck stop never sleeps. I just don't know.
Oh man, shout out to Larry, man. That's a good brother. He's awesome. Double cheeked up at a truck stop in Memphis, Tennessee.
Hey, raises morale.
Hey, listen, 901 Shelby Drive, look alive, look alive. All right, checking out this next clip. I was literally my mouth. All right, did that look intentional to you, bruh?
Let's see if we can flip it one more time. Oh, they're just turning around now.
Turn it around.
See if we can get it one more. Oh, there we go.
Call 911?
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. Look at this bird. Oh, yeah.
Like,
look at that.
there's no way, bro.
You don't take it that much. You know, they're looking at their phone or something.
100%. And then they yeah.
Try to get out of there. Yeah, they're like, yeah, I'll buff out.
Yeah, that's a
Call Allstate.
what the truck is that? I would have been laughing. All right, so this clip I love because it felt like me on my first day at What the Truck.
They got him on the manual.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. He's rocking it though. I'm telling you, he's
Wait,
in
who's on
there.
the side? There's someone. There's a person next to him.
That's like his uncle or something. I don't know, but I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, that's me and CW.
Hey,
for sure.
diesel in the veins. He's got diesel in the veins.
Yeah, that's definitely me. My first couple of goes here on What the Truck, but he's whipping that thing though.
They don't make them like they used to.
Yep.
They talk about the manual stuff too. That's a dying art.
Checking out this clip, I again was like, what the heck is going on? What the truck is that?
Is that the old deaf in the fuel tank?
Yeah.
Are they washing themselves with the nozzles?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not good. That's caustic materials.
That, like, brother, you're not gonna make it.
I mean, it's maybe they had some skunk or bad cologne. The ethanol will help,
I don't know, but we will definitely, like I said, I needed to bring y'all these clips because I was just like, yo, like I genuinely don't know what's going
Their
on here.
DOT random's gonna say ethanol. And be like, you drinking ethanol? Is that something we can like cite you over?
Uh, nah, that is insane. That is insane. So yeah, I saw this and I was just like, man, I need to get your take on it because like I really don't know.
They called
what's
him
happening.
Diesel Jim.
Diesel Jim is
They
nuts.
wondered why he smelled funny in the terminal. It's because he was using a little bit of the diesel as well.
Yeah, just a little fragrance.
When
if
they
you will.
told him about the cologne called Diesel, he took it literally.
Hey, that was so good. That was so good. All right. Y'all, this has been an awesome segment. Definitely excited for what's to come here. I know a couple of things. For one, the Freight Tech 100 is going to be unveiled on September 22nd. So make sure that you guys check that out. The Freight Tech again 100 unveiled on September 22nd. And then of course, what would we be without F3? F3 is coming here, of course, Chattanooga, Tennessee. October 21st through the 22nd is going to be the biggest and baddest F3 yet. Craig Fuller and, of course, all of us here at FreightWaves are going to do it big. There's going to be a lot of demos, a lot of interviews with your boy, Truly, here, Malcolm Harris, representing What the Truck. Now, for the road ahead, I'm super excited because we're going to have Matt Trucks in the building. On Monday, David Galbraith is going to be joining me, the VP of Global Brand and Marketing. I could not be happier, and I could not be more excited to welcome him, and I could not be more thankful for my brother, T-Dub, the Sensei, Thomas Wasson. Y'all, thank y'all so much. It's been another episode of What the Truck here on FreightWaves TV. Happy birthday, Mom. I'll see you on Monday. Peace.